lost it now because I said, "Is it running? Is it running?" It's right. No, I was going to say you looked a bit like Ronnie Corbett earlier when he sits on the big chair. Because you were sat there in a funny way because of the mic.
I'm about 4 foot taller than him.
You look like a giant Ronnie Corbett.
I'll take that one. Wow, giant Ronnie Corbett. That's the first time I've ever had that. Beautiful.
Actually, just before we start the real podcast, I was at a pub once and my dad had just been telling my wife that all the time he gets recognised and people think he's Richard Gere, right? And he was, and he
goes along with it.
Well, no, it doesn't go. But he was really like, I'm so handsome. And honestly, it was so weird. A woman walked past and just stopped and went, "Hey, you look familiar." And he was like, "Oh, here we go, the Richard Gere thing." She's like, Then she went to the toilet and she came back. Matthew Corbett from the City Show. I don't even know what Matthew Corbett from the City Show looks like, but
it's not a good look.
No, he was quite crestfallen. He didn't even have a bear on his hand at the time. It's a good little gorilla thing. Get powered up. Getting powered up for the podcast. Are you ready? Sangeeta, are you ready?
I'm so confused.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Guest, are you ready?
I'm ready.
The guest is ready. Jaden, the regular Foster, are you ready?
I'm always ready, man.
He's always ready, just with like 1 second delay to get online. I love it. So we are back here in City Sound Studio in Chelmsford for another episode of Are You Creative, where we are discovering creativity in Essex. Amazing creative people. What's going on? I am the so-called creative expert, Nick Hearn, creative director, and I'm here with Sangeeta.
Mitra.
Come on. I'm here with Sangeeta.
Mitra from New Generation Development Agency. And I'm not a creative.
Sangeeta,
so I'm
Mitra.
here to learn about different creatives.
Yeah, but you're getting a little bit more creative every day.
Oh,
every podcast.
I'm trying.
I think we're on podcast 20 now.
We are.
You must be feeling like, well, creative. That's 20% more creative.
Definitely, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, and we're meeting interesting creative people from around Essex to find out what's going on in the county, really. And we've got another amazing guest here. Say hello, guest.
Hello.
He's called Phil. But Sangeeta doesn't know what he does yet. Phil, are you from Essex?
I've lived here for about 20 years, probably just over, but I'm not born here.
Let me see your passport.
That's actually expired right now. My missus is very annoyed.
We're going to check. We've checked his Essex passport. We've stamped him. He's into Molsham Lodge, Chelmsford here. That's good. 20 years. That's good, man. You've done your time.
Mm-hmm.
And are you creative?
Yes.
Okay.
He is creative. I like that.
Right.
Not super positive, but we only invite creative people on this podcast, so you have been elevated.
I was being modest.
You're being humble. I know. Don't be humble. Okay. This is the one time that you get to talk about yourself and show off.
Be loud and proud.
Be loud and proud. So what we like to do when we start here, see, like Phil hasn't really talked much now, so just still put you on mute for a little bit, Phil. But Sangeeta, yes. You've got to guess what Phil does because you know who Phil is.
Oh, I don't. So this is quite a difficult
Let's
one.
describe him because he's got a really funky Hawaiian print Star Wars shirt on. Yes.
See, I would say Hawaiian print. Quite bright colours. My favourite colours, actually. Orange is one of my favourite colours.
Who would wear a shirt like that?
Oh, so this is the difficult bit because when you see the pictures and you look at Phil, he looks very serious. Now, I would say...
Seriously handsome.
He looks very, very serious. Now, I would have said... Phil, because we're doing creative, so I know it's got to be something around that. I'm going to say you're a director of some sort, but I'm trying to figure out...
Do you think he carries himself with that sort of level of confidence like, as a director?
No, backscene, writer, possibly plays, or I would say theatre. I'm going to go with theatre.
Are you saying he looks very clever and sensitive?
Well, he looks very clever.
Now, Phil, can we just see your hands, please?
Ah, okay.
Well, I was hoping he might have some ink on his hands or something. You've got very clean hands, considering what you do.
Artist, graffiti.
There's a reason for that.
Ah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Phil, let us know what you do.
I am an indie comic creator.
Oh.
So Phil writes and draws comics.
Yeah.
So I was right about writer of something, right?
Yeah.
See, I told you, you look serious.
And actually, Phil's comics are pretty emotional as well.
Are they?
They can be, yeah. Yeah, they can. Well, not that emotional. They're not too deep, but yeah, there are emotional elements to it. I've got some here that we can look at if you want to.
Yeah, it doesn't work so well on an
I
audio.
know for a podcast, it's not the greatest. Do you want to see my pictures?
Yeah, let's just hear the audio with pages turning.
Yeah.
Aha. Okay, but we will have a look at it in a minute. I think maybe you should show Sangeeta and we'll just get her reaction to it, because I think she is going to be absolutely amazed by what you make.
Wow. So you're a comic maker?
Yeah.
Writer and
here we go.
artist.
And Phil is unzipping his bag. He's got a black Carrymore bag. He's fiddling with the straps there, going and divvying inside.
Oh, out it comes.
And we can see some comics, and they're quite small format, about A5 format, and they're called System Error.
Yes.
Oh,
And
System Error. Thank you.
has a really cool robot on the front, and the robot's got a massive head, like a big marshmallow,
Oh, wow.
which is probably about 5 times bigger than his body.
Yeah.
Why has he got such a big head?
Well, one of the rules when you're making characters, when you're making your own stuff, they always say that actually what you should do is you try and get a good silhouette.
So basically, if the character's entirely black, you can tell what the character is.
Yeah.
So earlier on, we were talking to AJ, and he was talking about Mickey Mouse's ears and saying they always have to be facing the front. So you get the Mickey Mouse silhouette.
Exactly.
So this is the same. You've got the giant head robot.
You go the same. You go Batman, he's got his pointy ears and the points along the bottom of the cape. Other ones, Thor, he has wings on his helmet in the older version of Thor, and he has the hammer. So it should be that your character is recognisable just by a silhouette, will give you a strong profile, and a good striking image that people remember and is memorable.
So when you had the idea for System Error comics, and you had this, you conceived this robot, how many iterations did you go through thinking, like, what's that silhouette? How big should the head be compared to the body?
I've actually got a sketchbook page from years ago where it's got about 8 drawings, which were just a process of drawing through. And you started off looking like a battery or a bin. And then it literally looked like a bin. And then
I would have read that one, bin error. That would have been
bin
good.
error. In the bottom right-hand corner of the page is a sketch that looks pretty much the same proportions of the head and the body. The arms and legs are a little bit different, but yeah.
And you just knew, when you did that one, you were like, that is it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's got more refined, it's got a little bit more detailed as time's gone by, but the original concept, probably about 8 drawings as I went through.
I normally find that that's like my first thing I've drawn. It tends to be the best. Like, it feels like, when you're not trying too hard, or you haven't overanalyzed it or talked yourself out of it.
Yeah, if you know, if you get that feeling, if you get that gut feeling. And they were just little biro drawings.
Brilliant.
And off we go, yeah.
They're just little noodles. Where do you do your drawing? Do you sit down at a desk to do it, or do you just do it wherever you are?
Wherever I am. I kind of originally started off, a lot of it was analog stuff. It was pen and then dip brush pens and stuff like that. But I've kind of moved further into digital art, which is why I haven't got ink all over my hands.
I honestly thought you were going to turn up and you're going to have like inkiest fingers.
No. Digital is, it's just faster. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
It's easier to adjust if it goes wrong. You could spend 2 hours on an ink drawing, then something goes wrong, and then you have to adjust it, or you'd end up adjusting it digitally in Photoshop anyway. So digital, it just works. But if you've worked in an analog way, that translates into digital.
So hang on, listeners, just in case Wikipedia here, analog is your traditional pens, your traditional ink, and things like that. Anything that you're making marks on a page with, really, when we're talking about it here in comic book art.
Yeah, so traditional techniques, pen, pencil, but then you can start off like that, and then you photograph it, and then you add it into your iPad or whatever, and then you can use it and sort of touch it up and make it, improve it like with your iPad.
And what program are you using on the iPad to do that?
Procreate is the one that I use mostly for drawing, for black lines and shading. And Photoshop is what I use for colouring because it's just a bit better.
On the iPad?
No, on a PC.
Yeah.
I just find the trouble with Procreate is that when you try to resize things, they blur too much. Photoshop has much better algorithms to actually make things resize. You can resize a very blurry image and make it quite large without losing any quality.
Yeah.
Procreate hasn't got that yet.
So if anyone out there wanted to try, just starting to draw on their tablet, and I know Procreate's like you have to pay money for that. Is there any sort of entry level Procreate that they can use to draw on?
Just by Procreate. It's 13 quid.
Oh, is it? Sorry, I thought it was more expensive. Is it?
No. All these other, you say to people,
It's
just get
13
Procreate, and they go, it's £13. I said, well,
What?
you could walk into McDonald's and spend 13 quid
Hang
and
on.
walk out and you've got nothing to show for
Yeah.
it.
That is
100 pages of blank A4 to draw on would cost you 13 quid.
Well, you've got to buy the pens as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So, it's 13 quid. Everyone's so
Yeah.
used to, on smartphones and everything, to just everything for free.
free.
It's
You're
for free.
so right.
It's just like, well, just put your hand in your pocket and spend 13 quid because that program will last you forever. It's not going anywhere. It's a very highly regarded program. It's used by professionals all over the world.
Isn't that incredible that you can get, if you think like, Sangeeta, these comics you've got on your lap here, which we're going to talk about in a second, but they've been made on a £13 program.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
The hands of industry, industry is just here on our laps, like for this cheap.
Yeah,
And
but
we still
most people are
complain.
like, why did you pay £13 for it? Can't you get a free one? It's like, just pay 13 quid. It's a perfectly decent piece of software. Shouldn't people be paid for what they make?
It's because it's got the word pro at the start of it. If it was just called create, it'd be all right.
Yeah, true.
So, Sangeeta, tell us about what you're seeing here.
Right. So I'm seeing some comics. They've got numbers on them, and they're all called
They're called issue numbers.
That's what I was just getting to it, guys. They've got numbers on them, which I'm assuming are the issue numbers.
Yeah.
So I've put them all in order. So I'm going with issue 1, System Error. Now, System Error, they're all called System Error. So is that something to do with a PC? Because obviously I've not had a chance to read them.
It links into lots of different themes within the story, within the books. Basically, it can apply to all kinds of things. It's mentioned in some of the robots' kind of internal dialogue that you can see inside the screens in there. But it's also to do with various things about the reasons why the world is like it is now, how things have gone wrong. It kind of, you could apply the title to sort of a few different themes within the book.
So our big-headed robot is sort of exploring a post-apocalyptic version of our world now.
Yeah, well, in issue 1, he's a tour guide robot who's just assigned to Trafalgar Square. The whole thing's set in Britain.
Yeah.
So he's just handing out leaflets to send people to pizza restaurants and stuff like that. He's just doing a bog standard tourist job.
I mean, it's pretty much my job, yeah.
Is it? And then he gets shut down. You can sort of get, with the conversations with the people around, you can tell something's not quite right. And then he gets shut down, and when he reactivates later on, he comes out and everything is completely overgrown. All the people have disappeared. And then he goes off to still try to fulfill his function.
Yeah.
His primary goal in his programming is to find people in need, which in a normal kind of world, in the capitalist society, is people in need of pizza restaurants and theatre tickets and museums. But there's no one around, so he has to find people, and that sort of translates into something else.
Oh, I love it. So he's got a real quest here, and he can't find satisfaction until he fulfills the function.
he has to. So I mean,
So are there any pizza restaurants open?
no.
Okay, so they'd be very disappointed if he finds someone and he sends them to he's got nowhere to send them.
Well, that's spoilers.
You have to buy a copy and read it.
Hang on. I think Phil's just hooked me in. Is this what they do? This is
How it works.
See, even I'm hooked. You've got a character here that appears in all of these. Is it Ito?
Yes. That's the
Yes. So, what made you? When did you develop this character? How many years have you been writing these?
I've been doing these probably about 6 years now.
Okay.
From the very beginning of the concept and the idea.
and Ito's the big-headed robot, by the way.
He is, yes.
Ito is the character in it. Yes.
So yeah, about 6 years I've been doing it from the very beginning. A lot of the process in the first few years was me just improving, getting better at doing the art. Actually, sort of, this is not good enough. This needs to be better. How do I do this? What's the shortcuts to doing it? So, as I say, starting off analog, and then realizing this is a very slow process. Needs to be. You can't do this at this pace. I think I even watched a YouTube video where somebody had made a YouTube video where they said, "I spent 13 years making a comic and no one bought it." And I was like, "Oh, that's not good. I can't do that. That can't be me."
When did you realise it was good enough to send to someone? Or
Well, one of the goals I had was I wanted to publish it. I wanted it to be published by somebody else, and for me, that was a benchmark that I felt I had to achieve in doing this. It was kind of like validation, because it's all right. You're showing it to your friends, you're showing it to your family. They're going, "Oh, this is nice, well done," and pat on the head, and you're kind of like, "Oh, that's very nice of you to say so." But what you need to do is put it in front of a complete stranger who you don't know, who publishes comics, and for them to say, yes, this is good enough. This is a viable product, because at the end of the day, the whole thing is a business. People do it for love, but you want to actually be able to sell the thing.
Yeah.
No one wants to be sat at home with boxes of comics that you can't sell because they're not good enough. So it's that validation, and you put it in front of publishers, and then eventually someone says yes.
And how many publishers did you have to show it to, or did you show early versions and they was like give you feedback and you changed things and then you went back?
Yeah,
again?
I mean, I showed it to a couple of people very early on, and they were like, they're very kind. You can see in their eyes, you were like, okay, I can see, it's fine. Yeah. I can take it. Rejection, I'm going to tell you, rejection is one of the biggest motivators.
Yeah.
If you can brush it off and just go, do you know what? Fair enough. I can see that. I'll push on, and I'll do better.
And you went back to some of the people that rejected you with an updated product.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Forgive me, Simon, if you ever listen to this. I submitted it to a publisher called Blue Fox Comics, who do publish it now. Originally, I'd made the comic was 7 issues, and it was all black and white because I grew up on black and white British comics like 2000 AD, stuff like that. I mean, they even used to reprint all the Marvel and DC stuff for British audiences was reprinted in black and white.
Really? From colour?
Yeah, from colour. They took the colour out just because, the British people, they like black and white comics. It's so grey and dark in that country.
They don't have colour over there. In their castles, they're reading it by candlelight anyway.
But some of it works better. Yeah. I mean, have you ever read Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's interesting because, cause I've seen that in black and white. But it's interesting that some people bring films out in black and white now, like the... Parasite came out in black and white afterwards in the direct.
Sometimes it works. Swamp Thing was originally printed American comic with the traditional kind of colours they had, but over here they reprinted it as books in black and white, and the artwork and the line work is so much better, crisper in black and white, and it just works. So anyway, I was into the black and white stuff, and so I did all the black and white stuff, and a lot of manga's all black and white, and there's manga influences in my comic.
Yeah.
And Simon, bless him, said to me, yeah, I like it, but we don't publish black and white comics.
No.
And I was just like, okay, what if I coloured in episode 1 and then sent it back to you? And then he said, oh, yeah, would you be interested? Would you have a look at it again? He said, yeah. So
you went and bought some crayons.
Yeah, I went and bought some crayons. Yeah, so then I was like, I need to get on with this. So I spent another few months colouring in the first one, which again was a whole learning process. Sent it back to him and he said yes.
That is amazing. I love that he gave you honest feedback anyway.
Yeah.
And he thought the narrative was fine and the concepts and the characters were great. He just wanted colour.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's purely it. I mean, and it depends on the publisher that you talk to. There's many out there.
Yeah. So you could have just been like, had an artistic hissy fit and been like, I'm going to find someone that wants my black and white one. But instead, you take that on board and think like, I've just got to push this over the line here.
Yeah, and it's a better product for it. Completely, 100%. I would always just if someone rejects something, it's not a personal attack. You just think, actually fine, fair enough. There's reasons why. I understand that. And you just push on.
You fix it. So that's what I'm actually admiring about what you just said. You didn't have the attitude of, oh, okay, they didn't like it. That's it. I'm going to shut the door. This is not what I'm going to do anymore. Because some people have that. They have a creative idea. And if somebody doesn't give them the confidence or they don't get the break, they kind of shut the idea down. Now, going back to comics, did you read comics as a kid then? Was that your thing as a kid?
I mean, this is childhood dream stuff.
Yeah.
I read comics, always read comics. Comics, when I was younger, many years ago, it was kind of a closed shop. You read them, you saw them, and you're like, well, I'd love to do this. This would be amazing. But you had no access to it. You had no access to, well, the internet didn't exist for starters, so you couldn't just email people or look on websites for submissions and stuff like that. It was very much a closed shop. And when I was at school, my German teacher's husband there's a guy called Barry Kitson in rural Norfolk, and he at the time was drawing Judge Dredd.
What?
And we were just all like,
No.
"Oh my god, it's so amazing!" I think the only reason I did German GCSE was to because like I was just so in awe of this guy who I'd never met. But I'll come to that in a minute because I did meet him eventually.
No way. Hang on, this is your German teacher.
This is my German teacher. My German teacher's husband. Yeah, my German teacher was, the very stern German teacher lady, and her husband, who was obviously just sat at home in the back room drawing Judge Dredd and various DC comics. And
This is unbelievable. So this is one of these things you say you just don't know what's going on in houses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a stern German teacher at the front, and then there's a guy drawing like the absolute iconic 2000 AD Judge Dredd stuff.
Yeah, and he was drawing Black Costume Spider-Man, stuff like that from Marvel UK.
Wow.
All like 2 miles away from where I'm sitting inside this German classroom going,
Did you ever get your hands on an original?
My sister has, because he was the German teacher's husband, he did the school play. He did the posters as a favour. And my sister's got it hanging in her downstairs toilet because she was in the place.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You've got an original Barry Kitson in your toilet," because it looks like really really vintage and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I came, "You've got that. Do you know how much it's worth?" She just went, "It's a photocopy." Years later, a couple of years ago, I was in Switzerland on holiday, and because of this German that I'd learnt and never used, I could read and understand conversations and all this kind of stuff. And I was just standing in Lauterbrunnen Valley going, "Thank you, Mrs. Kitson." And then I was at Comic-Con, tabled at Comic-Con, and Barry Kitson was also tabled at Comic-Con. So I went round there to go and actually see him, and then we just had a conversation for ages. First time I'd ever met him, 30 years later.
Wow.
I love how you just casually drop this in. So, you've gone in 6 years from starting your comic, creating your character, to being published, to being at Comic-Con next to your hero.
Well, I wasn't next to him. He was on the professional row. I was back in the deck somewhere.
But you got round to
But
him.
I walked round there, marched round.
He was on a little folding table. He wasn't even part of it. He was out on the steps at the front, like Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I took my little comics. Went, "Can you sign these for me, Mr. Kitson?" It's like Oliver Twist of comics.
Please, sir.
But that was interesting. Was he interested in what you were doing as well? Do you show him?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when you meet quite a lot of comic professionals, they're interested in what you do, each other. They like sharing stuff. You do get the egos, but most people genuinely are interested in quite a niche kind of creative medium now.
Yeah, and I suppose because of these indie publishers as well, like you've got your Blue Fox stuff here as well. It must be, like I'm trying to think. Collectors like finding out about these indie labels and these indie publishers, and it must be so exciting.
Yeah, there is an element of that kind of thing. Like when people used to be into the indie record labels and go around finding rare 7-inches, you do get that, people who go out looking for this independent stuff that's just sort of small press, small print runs of stuff.
So you wrote this 6 years ago. Had you written anything else prior to this, or is this?
No, this is the thing. It's like I wanted to make a comic, and I like drawing, and I wanted to draw a robot comic, and I wanted to make it dystopian, and I wanted to have it all overgrown. And then suddenly realised, now I need to learn how to write stories and actually make it work. How do you do story beats? How do you do cliffhangers? How do you do all of this stuff? So I had to learn that more.
Listeners, I have to tell you, Paul doesn't look like 6 years ago would have been like 12 years old or something. So, this is. I'm not saying he's old, but 6 years ago, I'm imagining you were in your. I've dug myself a hole here, haven't I?
Do you want a shovel?
Yeah, I do want to shovel anyway. What I'm going to say is, I love this. It feels like a hobby, a sort of later life hobby that's become really successful. Is that the right thing to say? Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hang on, are you 18?
Yeah, I am.
I'm going to delete all of that bit.
No, it's more like, do you know what it is more like? It's more like, because of my day job, which is an art teacher, which I've been doing for like over 20 years, this is all just part of professional development. You need to always be trying to improve what you can do. I did a printmaking degree in etching and engraving in the 90s. Now, if I don't practice and get better at the skills of what I'm trying to teach children, they're not going to be interested. They're not going to want to know.
Right.
You know, so you have to always push yourself. You have to learn new skills.
And then I guess it's also being an art teacher, being updated with the new stuff that's coming out to be teaching them. Right?
Exactly. Kids want to know about digital art. They want to know about
Yes.
illustration. You
Yeah.
can't go to them, oh, no, I don't know anything. It's just
Yeah.
like, you wouldn't trust a PE teacher who doesn't run anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
My PE teacher used to sit in his car and do like the left indicator for throwing from that team, right indicator for the other throwing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you
no.
had so much respect for them, didn't you?
No, yeah. But I had loads of respect for my art teacher because, like I say, yeah, you know, he was an artist. He was going and doing things for real.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he had his painting hanging in the Colchester Hippodrome,
There you go.
which we thought was like the ultimate. You know, can you imagine that having the reception of the Hippodrome Club?
It's like when I was at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago, I had kids from my GCSE class, like from my GCSE art class, coming to see me
Wow.
and having pictures in the little booth and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of like if you're going to trust someone to teach you something and get your qualification, you know, you want to know that they can do what they say.
Yeah, as a teacher now, then, because obviously me and Sangeeta went to school a long time ago. You know, I think we had an Archimedes computer in our art room at school, and the teacher had his mind blown because I was really into making digital art, and I was the only person into it, and he didn't even know how to do it. Now, how much of art is learning digital art?
At the moment, it is more of a personal thing. There is not the funding, there's not the money for you to have loads of tablets and everybody and Apple Pencils to do it.
Yeah. Come on, Procreate's only 13 quid.
It's only 13 quid, yeah. But
Come on, school governors.
but the kids, if they want to know, then I can teach them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a closed door to them.
So actually, you might have a project set, and they might be like, actually, what I'd really like to see is, digitally illustrate this, and you say, well, come on, let's go.
Yeah, or if there's Photoshop and they need to do something, want to make reference images, I can very quickly Photoshop something together, and I can show them very fundamental stuff of how to adjust an image so that they can then have the resource they want.
Brilliant. I wish you were my art teacher.
Can I ask, as a comic writer,
Yeah.
someone who's published, do you do each book singularly, or do you do a bit like how we do the podcast, 2, 3 in a row, or like how does it work when
The
you're
main
doing...
series that I've made there is issues 1 to 6 of a series which has taken me years to do.
Right, that's the bit I
Learning
wanted
on the
to know.
job, taking a very long time over it. But now that's done, my 2024 kind of resolution was like, how do you churn this out? How do you do it faster? So this year I've done 2 of those smaller books already this year. One of them took me 3 months from concept to completion, which is one of the ones you're holding there, which is the Ito one with the rain and the umbrella. So the bottom green one. Yeah, that one there. So that was like, how can I streamline my process? How can I make sure that I can do this faster? How can I use these digital tools more efficiently? So that took 3 months from writing it to drawing it, because I just had an idea and I want to do it.
So then previously, how long would one of these take then?
Years, because I redid them and redid them and redid them.
Right.
Which again was all part of the learning process and the whole thing of like improving and making sure that it was up to a standard, you know, that would be acceptable to somebody else.
So I think that's the maturing and experience, knowing when you've done enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being self-critical, knowing, okay, this is great. I mean, you can drive yourself mad getting it to 100%, can't you?
Yeah. But I've got it to a standard now where I'm happy with it. I know that I'm always improving. I know that it will get better. You can't reach perfection when you're making something. This is what, again, going back to the day job, the kids are like, oh, you know, it's not right, it's not right. So what are you going to do if you make something that's perfect? Are you just going to snap your pencil and stop? Because you've done the best drawing that's ever going to happen. You know, that's not right.
I've completed art.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
I've won the game. You know, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. I said to him, when the way I drew, this is a case in point. The way I drew 6 years ago is not how I draw now. Just through practice.
Well, I've got to say, listeners, now I'm holding this latest one, Ito, and it honestly looks like Studio Ghibli. It's like they've got this sort of Japanese look to the way that it's drawn, but the way that the motion's done, the way that it's shaded. It really is incredible to think that this has been done in Chelmsford by one person is really impressive.
Thank you.
And I like this. You know, it really, really does a classic. You can imagine like postcard prints of this, and
You mean like these that I've got for you?
Here's one we
got some
prepared
postcards.
earlier.
Yeah.
Prezzies.
I love it.
Yeah. But what I like about that is that now that you've set up your construct of who Ito is and what his journey is and how he looks, then you can change your sort of styling of the way you draw it, can you, as well? A bit like they would have done with like Spider-Man Noir and those sort of things. You can have different environments for Ito to live in.
Yeah, I could change it around. I mean, I've got other things in the same universe that I'm going to be making once this is done. Because once number 6 is out, that's the end of the series. There'll be a collected edition of the book, but then I've got other things in the same universe. So,
so you know how it all ends. You know, it's done. It's a full wrapped up story.
Yes.
He finds the pizza shop. Oh, spoiler alert!
No,
It's a Domino's.
I don't want to spoil the pizza bit, but the pizza bit you will never see because I actually cut it out.
Damn.
There's a Talking Head song about it's a post-apocalyptic one about how the world changes back to like a more rural, ecological kind of thing. Like and there's this was a Pizza Hut. Now it's all covered in daisies.
Yeah.
So I actually drew that as a scene where he hides in a pizza shop, and there is a Pizza Hut covered in daisies, which is on a hard drive somewhere, which I haven't used, and it's been cut.
Hang on, can I just say his head does look very much like a miller's wheel? May he, in his agrarian future, does he grow some grain, grind it into flour, and make his own pizza dough?
Yeah, that's the end of it. I spent all these years doing it so I could make a pizza making robot. That's the final scene. There's just a margarita on the top of his head.
Oh gosh, I love this. Can I ask? And I'm gonna. This might be my naivety again, once again, but so you write this. You've got your series. How do you go about advertising and getting your fan base? Like, how do people know about this?
Instagram, which is a grind in itself.
Yeah.
Social media has become more and more difficult.
Because you are almost your own advertising. Like, I guess you're
you
an
have
agent,
to market it
right?
yourself. I mean, Instagram is one. I left Twitter as soon as I joined it because that was a hellscape I did not want to be involved with.
Did you get a lot of suggestions about what you should do with a comic?
No, you just get weird suggestions like, because of my age and demographic and the data that goes in, is like, hi, Russian singles.
Yeah, welcome to my world as well.
That kind of thing. It's like, I did not ask for this. You literally made assumptions.
So how do you grow your audience on Instagram?
You have to post various things. It's just very difficult, Instagram. The thing that has made Instagram, it grows a little bit when you actually physically see people. You go to Comic-Con and you say, you've got a little QR code there's my Instagram, it just jumps.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you're at Comic-Con, is that actually like meeting people, talking to them about it, getting them excited, they can see you there and then they'll follow you?
Yeah, and you get instant feedback. It's for all the digital world and all your social medias and all the rest of it, you just get more everything that's happened with this comic that's been positive has been actually for physically talking to people. Like the publisher, I walked up to him at a convention and said, blah 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 blah, here's my thing,
So you can't beat those real world interactions, really.
You can't. It's true. Let's say, let's be honest, if I was doing this on Instagram and I was an 18-year-old blonde female, I would have 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that sad. That's the sad reality of social media.
Yeah.
But it just gets there slowly.
But do you need to see the artist behind the art? I mean, do people know who you are?
Some people
anyway?
do.
Yeah, I know some people do, like on TikTok and stuff. But like when we were younger and we were reading 2000 AD, for example, I didn't have a clue who the artists, what they look like, who these people were. I still don't know. Hang on, is it Frank Miller? I don't know what he looks like. He could walk past me in the street.
You should, I won't describe him.
No,
I'll describe him when the microphone's on.
Exactly, but in my head, he's like Rick Rubin. He would be like some sort of like god with long hair and beard going past me. But sometimes I don't. It's more exciting for me to imagine the person that's drawn the things than the reality.
Yeah, they used to put the old black and white publicity photos in the back, like Alan Moore looked like some kind of like rock god, didn't he, with all his long hair and his massive beard.
That's who I'm thinking of, the Rick Rubin looking guy.
There you go. Frank Miller's original, he looked like a 1980s action movie star in the back of my copy of Dark Knight Returns. He doesn't look like that.
He'd drawn himself.
So
how do people know it's you? Do you post out your pictures
Well, because of my day job, I try to I've tried to keep my pictures of me off of Instagram.
Because obviously being a teacher and all
kids love to find out who you are and where you are and all that kind of stuff. So I've mostly just promoted it just with the artwork.
So do your students know that Sir has got this.
A few of them, yeah.
A few of them.
Have any of them come for World Book Day and dressed up as Ito?
No, they'd never get through the door with the size of his head.
Has anyone ever dressed as Ito for Comic Con?
No.
Has Ito got any fans?
Come on, that's another one on the bingo card of like someone turns up cosplaying. Yeah, it won't happen. The head's too big.
And trying to support a miller's wheel that big on your head,
exactly.
on your neck's not gonna, a human neck's not built for it.
So yeah, that hasn't happened, but it would be great if someone did. I mean, also some of the costumes you see, like Comic Con, was hilarious. Have you played Resident Evil 2?
Yes.
Right, so you can unlock secret characters at the end if you do it in certain ranks.
Okay.
So you can unlock Tofu. So you first of all you unlock Hunk, which is a commando character, which you play the game backwards. And if you complete the commando one, you unlock Tofu, which is a piece of tofu with a beret and a knife. Okay. Now, at Comic-Con, I'm standing there talking to these people, and you see all these people walking past in costumes, and this white box goes past me, and I'm like, why is someone dressed like a fridge? And I see this blue beret, and I'm like, oh no,
That's tofu.
it's tofu. And I said to these people, can I just stop a second? And I ran out there to have my picture taken with a man in a cardboard box dressed as a piece of tofu. We had the little knife and everything. So then an hour later, there's some other people turn up and they're talking about the comics, we're having a chat, and she's dressed as Resident Evil characters. And I said, you do know and we were chatting, I was like, what do you do? Oh, I'm in charge of Resident Evil meetups, like big, 200 people all dressed as different characters. I said, you do know there's a tofu here? She was like, and she got on the WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp exploded, and all these Resident Evil cosplayers were hunting this tofu all around the Excel Centre.
Tofu can't have been that hard to find. If it's a
Well,
massive white fridge.
they found him because I looked on her Instagram later on, and he'd been at the meetup, and they'd given him a prize.
Oh, wow.
What I love about these cosplays is in Chelmsford when they had the takeover, everyone had these amazing outfits, but someone turned up as George Lucas, and he just totally won the whole day because his outfit was so hilarious with the beard and the sunglasses, just waving at everyone. And it's like tofu can beat everything.
Yeah, just a guy in a white box with a beret and a knife.
That's amazing.
Creativity.
There was a guy, the whole legend of Return of the Jedi, where there's a guy with a white beard.
Yeah.
And now after Clone Wars, they say it's Captain Rex, even though it never was written before that. There was a guy who looked exactly like him with the white beard, and he was just like, well, I'm just going to go with it. And had the whole Rebel Trooper Endor gear, walking around with his gun. I was just like, Captain Rex. He goes, am I though?
I mean, Comic-Con is that you got to get deep, haven't you? But this is why someone could go as Ito and everyone would be like, I don't understand what that costume is, but I want to.
I don't understand how half of
Do
them
you
anyway.
do you think you'd ever build the costume and be brave enough to
No.
be Ito?
The side that I'm 6 foot tall, so in proportions, the head would have to be about 10 foot wide. So yeah, that wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah, there's not enough materials in the world to build that. Have you ever made any toys or have you made any
I've
models?
made toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, with another local connection. There's a guy who I bumped into at my son's summer fair who does 3D printing,
Oh,
and
wow.
I just showed him, said, can you make this? And he said, yes, I can. And then so I printed action figures, and we've had custom action figures made, and I've painted them up, and sold them at conventions.
Wow, how did you how did you do the 3D modelling for it?
He did it. I'd already thought about doing it, and I'd had a little look at CAD programs. I was like, this is beyond me. He's a genius.
Yeah.
He does a thing like the hip joints and knee joints on the character that are all articulated, printed in one go.
Oh wow!
So the moving joints are printed in one place, and you just one tiny bit of filament, you click, and then the whole thing just moves.
So so you just drew it from all the different angles, and he's just like, I've got this.
Yeah, and he showed me kind of 3D models, sent them to me online, and I could move them around and say, adjust that, make that slightly smaller, and small adjustments. And yeah, they're spot on, these 3D action figures.
Where can we get one?
Only at conventions, I'm afraid.
Oh, only at conventions. It's a convention special.
Yeah, because I've only done 20 figures.
Yeah.
So
Sangate-
Wow,
Sangate-
20 figures, very bespoke.
Yeah. What do you think? Are we going to have to go to a convention now?
Well,
I think you should dress up. I think you should dress up as Ito, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go as Tofu
I
XL.
was just going to say, never say never. Never say never. You never know.
Next time they have a what was it called when they had the Chelmsford takeover? Was it Chelmsford takeover?
It was called Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford. Next Chelmsford takeover, I'm going to go as Ito, and if that doesn't qualify me for a free action figure,
free action figure, wow. I tell you, do you know what? We'll make a deal. If you go as that character, I'll get you an action figure.
And do you know what's going to happen? This a 6'3" version of it, with
Yeah,
with
the
a
head.
with a 12-foot
Yeah.
diameter head.
Yeah.
It's going to come up to you. My belly hatch is going to open, and you're going to just have to put the toy in the belly hatch. There'll be no words exchanged.
Yeah, and everyone will just go, "What just happened?"
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Once you get rid of those 20 figures, do you think you'll order some more?
I'll look in doing it slightly different ways. When I had to print, I painted them all up myself, and it took far too long for the amount of time. I was just like, if I'm charging by the hour, these figures will be like 500 quid.
Can you not outsource that to your students?
I have
was just
thought
thinking.
about. Someone's already thought about it, but yeah. I'm personally never doing them again. My wife has also mentioned to me that this is never happening again because it was just that was definitely a labour of love. The amount of time that went into them. Yeah, I might make kits because they all come as parts, so I might do kits. There's other ways I might still do it because people like them.
I love it. I want to see these in some dioramas and stuff like that. In fact, I think when we do our cover art for this episode, we need Itto
We need
on
it.
it. Because can we even show your face, or can we even say your name?
Oh yeah, you can show it. Well, I'm a school teacher. I'm not a secret agent. Yeah, of course you can. It's fine.
You just got to keep your.
You just never know.
Yeah.
But you know how teachers never live where they teach because
Well,
they
I
don't. Yeah, because they don't want to walk down the street and be.
Yeah, exactly.
Sir.
Yeah. Although every time I go to London, there's always one kid I see, even at a distance. Because I've been at the same place for like 20 years, so
Yeah.
there's always one kid I see in a far off distance, or like some big strapping bloke walks past me and goes, "Oh, what, sir?"
Have you had any of your ex students actually go on to creative careers, art careers, or anything like that?
Yeah, like the photography student who is a photographer now. One of our ex pupils was part of a major exhibition in the National Portrait Gallery.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you must feel like really proud from those achievements.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know. It's nice to know that what you're doing actually, at the end of it, actually has properly affected people's lives and set them on a path. You don't see it all, but you do get to hear back, and you do get to see that that kid that you taught 10 years ago is actually doing something. And yeah, you just think you're not wasting your time.
And even with kids that obviously don't feel like they're going on for artistic careers, do you feel like it enriches their time at school as well? And
100%.
Yeah.
It's just like it just gives you a wider experience of everything that's going on all around you. I mean, I started off like I said to the kids at the start of the year, I said, "Okay, who's watch telly?" And they would put their hands up. Right, okay, that's to do with art. Who's sat at a table? Me. Someone has in an art career has done that. Who's wearing clothes today? Because they all just think, and it's promoted to you that it's basically a useless thing.
Yeah.
You won't make any money at it. Don't bother with it. It's fairly pointless. It's a hobby. But as we all know, the creative industries basically are the fabric of everything that is around you.
Yeah.
Right,
And culture.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And all these things, and then if you have a better understanding of what you're looking at and the things that you're sitting on, the clothes that you're wearing, what is that picture and where is it from and what is it influenced by?
Yeah.
Then you have just a much richer experience of life.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Because if at school someone had said to me, "Oh, art isn't just painting bowls of fruit." It is designing clothes and fabrics and product design and things like that. I know that's a bit like CDT as well. But, or even doing comic books. Why don't you make a comic book for your GCSE project?
Exactly.
I would have been well into it.
Exactly. It's just the thing is just like every single thing that's been made has a start point in art somewhere. Somebody has picked up a pencil and drawn something. So it's in everything.
That's what I like. I like to, when I'm getting a train to London, I like looking at all the skyscrapers and thinking, at some point, Norman Foster drew that on a napkin or something like that. Like there was someone's done a wiggle.
At some point, there was a kid sat in a classroom in a school somewhere with a pencil, probably being shoved a bowl of fruit in front of their face. But we don't do that. But at some point, whoever did that was at that point in that journey. So you intervene at that point in time with those children and put that spark in their head that this is possible and you can do this. It's not easy. You will have to work at it, but any of you can do it.
I really like what you just said there, because part of Are You Creative? When I first agreed to do this last year, and even when I found out about Ignite, I wasn't really involved too much because I didn't see myself as a creative. I think up until 2 years ago, I just thought creatives were artists, were people that sat there doing gallery things, didn't really think beyond writers, illustrators, publishers, cookers, people that cook, people that decorate cakes. Didn't think of that at all. But now I'm getting it. I'm getting that the creative field is just absolutely enormous.
It makes the world a more interesting place, doesn't it? It makes us all tick, and it gives you a sense of place as well.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm so proud, like, you know, celebrating Essex creativity with this podcast. It's amazing that all the people you meet and all the people that do these fascinating things, and to even think, you know, you've got a representative of Chelmsford, you know, at Comic-Con,
Yes.
you know, with comics. And was Judge Dredd born in Colchester?
I can't remember who created.
There was
One of the original creators was Spanish. I know that much.
Yeah, I think there was a legend when I was in Colchester that Judge Dredd had come from Colchester. I'm going to have to look that up. Wikipedia. We'll be back. But you know, isn't that fantastic? Like the disproportionate sort of pride and impact in global culture you can have from a small county.
Absolutely.
I love it. And all because of our arts teachers.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
That's where
Mr.
it all started.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Trenell from Colchester Royal Grammar School, who set me off on my artistic journey. And he let me play on the computers and stuff. You know, I'm a professional graphic designer, creative director now. Got really excited. He had the first ever digital camera I'd seen, which was probably about
Was it the one with the floppy disk in it? The Sony Mavic.
No, it was like a box that went on the shelf, and you got like the lowest res image ever, but it was magic. It was so cool. Really terrible resolution, but you know,
there you go. That's the spark.
Yeah.
that put you where you are now. Started back then from someone just going, yeah, have a go at that.
Exactly, and
Don't
then
worry about it, just try
yeah,
it.
here you go. It's lunchtime. All the other kids are out. You've got asthma. You can't play football.
Yeah.
Come and sit in this cupboard and play on a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, do they do things like woodwork and pottery at schools nowadays?
I mean, a lot of the woodwork that we call it. The guy gets really annoyed. You're the wood tech teacher, aren't you? Like he's not. They're the technology, design and technology.
Oh, right.
So
It's not the whittling room.
no, it's not the whittling room anymore. He gets really annoyed, and we look the same as well. And we've had we've had half the school going last year that we're basically brothers, but we've got different mums.
A brother from another mother.
Yeah, exactly. And they're always like, "Aren't you Mr. Smith's brother?" And like, "Yes, I am."
He
We just keep that going the whole time.
He actually made a wooden mask of your face
Yeah,
and he wears it.
We are very similar. But we said, what'd you say? Like all white middle-aged men with beards look exactly the same.
Well, I have been told that I'm an NPC.
There you go. You see. Yeah. So yeah, you know, it's a good wind up with the kids.
Have you got any tips for anyone that wants to get into making comics? Like, if anyone's listening.
I think, well, obviously, you just persevere is the main one, but there are a million YouTube tutorials that you can follow. Procreate, you can learn far faster than I did just by following tutorials. There is, for comic book colouring, there is a YouTube channel called Colour with Kurt.
Yeah.
He's Kurt Michael Russell. He has to put his middle name in, otherwise he's just Kurt Russell. He's amazing. Like
I mean, that would be a show.
It would.
If Snake Plissken teaches you how to colour in
Yeah.
things. I would love that.
I thought he was dead.
AI Snake Plissken.
He's amazing. I actually met him at a convention as well, and actually said to him, like, "You taught me how to colour comics."
Yeah,
And
wow.
He was just like,
Wow.
"Oh, thank you so much."
And should someone have a story? Should they write their narrative before, or can they just jump into it and make it up as they go along?
They always say story first, which was the mistake I made because I didn't have a story. I wanted to draw robots. But you just have to do it. Just
Yeah.
get on with it. There's no point saying I'm not good enough. There's no point saying this will take me too long. If you want to make comics, make comics. There's such a massive variety in independent comics in this country right now, from people making small fold-up comics, just were photocopied on an A4 piece of paper which you fold up into small pages. Like their entire thing is just that.
Yeah.
There's millions of people who just make self-published comics, and they, for me, that wasn't for me. I if I'd self-published mine, it would have been a much lower quality because I would have just been, I'm done, I'll print it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that validation, I say. But so there's such a spectrum that there shouldn't be any kind of barrier to you making it. Just do it. Make your thing. Look online. Find the tutorials. See what other people are doing. Go to a convention and talk to people.
Yeah.
The internet is quite a weird place.
I think I was listening to a thing about Viz the other day, and they were just made someone photocopied them and sold them at some pubs.
Exactly.
And then before long they were selling 10 million copies a month.
That's how happened. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Was just these guys. They just made the comic. They just wanted to do it. They did it together, 2 guys in a room. They borrowed some money, I think, off their uncle to do their first print run. It just took off.
Yeah, it didn't end up in the shredder.
But they made so much money. One of the guys owned a tank just because he wanted to. He bought a tank because he had so much money and he always wanted to have a tank. So he had a tank to drive around.
Wow.
Hang on. I know where Ito's going now. He's not a miller's wheel. He's actually going to meet the turtles in the sewer, direct them towards a pizza shop, and then they're just going to smash him apart when they don't get their pizza.
Spoilers.
They're going to get mozzarella rage.
We are going to wrap up. What's your Insta for those that do want to follow Ito and know a bit more?
It's just Instagram.com, System Error Comic.
Okay, System Error Comic.
At System Error Comic.
Yeah.
And you should go and look there. You know, how often do you post? Do you put work in progress stuff?
It depends. Well, now we're around convention time. I'm in a convention next weekend, so I'll be sort of posting up various bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Kickstarter for the last issue went live today, so I'll be posting
amazing.
various things. Pushing that the Kickstarter will last 14 days. So
And there's some good rewards?
the comics.
The comic. No action figures.
Blue Fox doesn't quite do all the different kinds of extras, all those different tiers and stuff like that. It's literally like, here's the digital comics, here's the actual comics. There's an extra book, the March of Robots book's in there. So
And is that actually on Kickstarter? Or
it's on Kickstarter right now.
And you go, or you can find it through Blue Fox as well.
Through Blue Fox Comics too. It'll be on my Instagram, it's posted on there. If you go to Kickstarter and just search for System Error Complete, then that will actually pop
System
up.
Error Complete.
All right.
Okay, brilliant.
So Sangeeta,
Yes.
got any good ideas for comics?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I reckon you should draw on, even if it's just stick people.
Yeah.
You could draw a comic. Do you think NGDA could get a comic on the go?
Well, what do you reckon? Do you reckon we could do a comic? I think we're quite comical. We need to just put it
We're going to hear from
right in
Jaden.
now.
But it's really interesting because the NGDA always talk about loads of different issues like knife crime and county lines and things like that. And actually, you can have representation of everything in comics.
Oh my God, you've just given me an idea.
Are you creative?
How could we make county lines and things like that a bit more humorous?
It doesn't even have to be humorous because a lot of comics are dark and deal with real issues.
Well,
but,
yes, that's true.
So
True.
maybe that could be a little side quest for NGDA.
Trust me, there is a comic for absolutely
Yeah,
everything.
is it like Rule 43 of the internet? Is it Rule 43 of the internet?
Got a clue what you're talking about.
If you can think it, there's one of it.
Well, that's being an innocent school teacher. That is why I did not know.
I think it's Rule 43 of the internet. Anyway, I'll look it up later on Wikipedia.
Yeah, you look it up, not me.
So yeah.
And then he'll do a disclaimer.
Yeah. So Sangeeta, I think that'd be really cool. Just you can think of this story like a story that affects the kids or the young people, and then just work on it. It doesn't need to be brilliant drawing either, does it? Like comics all
Well,
about
that's
emotion,
the thing.
story.
I mean, in our youth club, we have got some amazing drawers, right? Who draw for therapy. And they are young people, and it's only now the pennies just dropped when you said that.
The power
Yeah.
of creativity.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so
Watch this space.
So we've leveled up Sangeeta's creativity.
Yes.
So thank you very much for listening to Are You Creative? I have been Nick Kern, creative expert, my co-host Sangeeta, our brilliant guest Phil, I've forgotten your surname.
Chapman.
Phil Chapman. Our brilliant guest Phil, I've forgotten your surname, Chapman. We've got the regular enforcer on the desk.
Yes, big up yourself, man.
Always making it sound beautiful. Thank you to City Sound and Paul for setting us up with the microphones, sounding brilliant again today. Thank you to NGDA, Essex County Council, for providing the mics and stuff and funding us. Don't forget to follow us and ask us questions on @r.u.creative.podcast. And we'll be back soon with more really amazing guests. I think we're recording 2 weeks' time.
We are, yeah.
And Sangeeta doesn't know who we've got, and that's part of the fun. So thank you very much, Phil. What does Ito say?
It doesn't say much, to be honest. They're mostly silent comics.
What would Ito say if we were saying bye? He'd say, go get a pizza, mate.
He'd say bye.
Pizza. Boy, pizza.
Bye, more pizzas.
Amazing. Thank you.